Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting of the Beavercreek City Council. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Curran.
Here.
Councilmember Literal. Councilmember Rushing. Here. Councilmember Upton.
Here.
Councilmember Van. Here. Vice Mayor Garcia. Here. Mayor Stone.
Here. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilmember Literal.
I have a motion and a second to excuse Councilmember Literal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Do I have another motion, please?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move to enter into executive session pursuant to Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Codes for the purpose of consideration of the purchase of property for public purposes and conference with city attorney concerning disputes involving the city that are subject to pending or imminent court action.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Literal. Councilmember Rushing. Yes. Councilmember Upton.
Yes.
Councilmember Van.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Curran.
Yes.
Mayor Stone.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be excuse ourselves for 10 or 15 minutes, and we'll be right back. Thank you very much. All right, we are back on the air, and do I have a motion to exit executive session?
So moved.
Second.
And I need a roll call for that as well. I have a roll call. Oh, I have a motion and a second to exit executive session. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rushing.
Yes.
Councilmember Upton.
Yes.
Councilmember Van.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Curran.
Yes.
Mayor Stone.
Yes. Do I have a motion to reconvene the regular meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to reconvene the regular scheduled meeting. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, there's no action being taken tonight on the executive session. At this point, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Councilmember Upton for the pledge.
Thank you, Mayor Stone. If I could ask everyone to join me in the pledge in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing, please. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirits of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Thank you. All right, we have an agenda before us this evening. Any changes, corrections? Seeing none?
Mr. Mayor, seeing none, I move to approve the agenda.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. First is the September 17th, 2018 work session. Any alterations?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to approve, accept the minutes from the September 17th meeting as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes for the September 24th, 2018 regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor, seeing no comments, I move to approve the regular meeting of September 24th, 2018.
A motion and a second to accept the minutes for for September 24th as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, public hearing, PUD 97-1.
This is an application filed by Al Neyer, 302 West 3rd Street, Suite 800, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45202. The application requests a major modification for 8.26 acres of land to allow for the construction of a medical office building. The property is located on the south side of Lakeview Drive, approximately 200 feet east of North Fairfield Road, further described as Book 4, page 6, part of parcel 116 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. Is the applicant present tonight? Would you like to come forward and make a presentation? Give us your name and address, please. Good evening.
Evening.
Sorry to make you wait, but
That's okay. Shorter wait than Planning Commission for this case. David Marshall, 409 East Monument. Street, Dayton, Ohio, 45402. I'm with the Klangers Group, and we're the site civil engineer, landscape architect for the project. We worked with staff in hopefully addressing all their concerns and comments, and I think we boiled it down to 13 conditions and are in agreement with all 13. It's a medical office building to be constructed at Lakeview in North Fairfield, kind of behind the Grader's Ice Cream and barbecue place. Site plan generally lays out as you would see a normal office building. We're also asking for a future alternate access point which aligns with the access point across the street, as a just in case the traffic flow within the development isn't functioning well. We'd like a second point of egress and ingress. With that, I'll either turn it over to staff or address any questions you guys may have.
Well, how about we do that? We'll turn it over to staff, and then we'll get back to you in a
Okay.
little bit. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. As we're here considering this evening a new specific site plan, which is a major modification to PUD 97-1. As some of you may be familiar with, this property does have some history to it. 1997, it was rezoned by City Council, and then an effort was made by the neighbors to petition a referendum. The referendum overturned the zoning, and then in 2000, there was a settlement of a lawsuit taken by the property owner, settled with the city, with heavy involvement from the neighbors immediately to the east of this property. With that in mind, the zoning in 2000 kind of had a layout for a big box power center, similar to what you see up and down North Fairfield, just north of Kemp. As we've mentioned in the past, and our goals and objectives for our department is to revisit some of these PUDs and look at what some of the antiquated uses on the property might be that need to be changed, or we could help any guidance we could give to change the direction of the development of that project, so we don't add into something that may saturate the market as it sits. So what we're looking at this evening fits well within that concept. It is providing consumers and customers as opposed to competition in that area, and it is for a 46,000 square foot medical office building. Property currently does not need to be rezoned, given the fact that we're treating this in the ordinance as if this were the anchor store. This is the location where a grocery store was proposed to be, so it falls within the conditions of the anchor store requirements within the settlement. It's anticipated as we move forward with development of this property that there will ultimately be a rezoning of the rest of the property, all subject to approval by the judge in a mutual agreement between the property owner and the city of Beavercreek. Neighbors have been shared, all the information has been shared with the neighbors, and we haven't received anything but positive feedback on this development to this point. The acreage is about 19.7 acres of the entire piece. The applicant is looking to take approximately 6.3 acres up along Lakeview Drive. The proposed access is right now across from the Chick-fil-A access. There is no access on Lakeview, but the building will front Lakeview Drive. As you see in the site plan, this will be the main entrance here. The front side of the building, which will be facing north, and then the access point will align with the Chick-fil-A across the street. We have had multiple discussions about the maintenance of that road. They did pull the road out of their ownership, but there is a significant REA agreement with the new property manager already in place for this property in terms of how the road will be maintained, how the common areas will be maintained. So we're comfortable that that'll be something that we hopefully won't have to deal with for much longer in the future in terms of getting the final coat of asphalt on there and making that a durable road, as the applicant also desires to see that happen as well. So we've got the parking is more than sufficient. They're over parked, so if this access point ever did come into play, there wouldn't be an issue of any deficiencies in the requirements for the amount of parking on that property. They do have 242 parking spots. We're required to have 131, but there are 10 handicap parking spots there, which is also in compliance with our new ordinances and regulations dealing with ADA +2, given that this is a medical facility. The building design is attractive. It's I'll show you the rendering. This is a rendering that was in the paper. You can see the only thing on the building that was of any concern was the height. So we do have a condition in the specific site plan motion or the major modification motion to make sure that there is an amendment to the settlement that allows this building to go over the 33-foot height limitation, which will be about 40 feet. But you can see it's not usable space. It's more of an accent feature than it is anything else. So the neighbors didn't really have a problem with the height issue as far as we knew or heard. But there are also, you saw the landscape plan, the mound. This area here is the existing mound. This is the internal landscape plan. All of that, which we find is very attractive. And there are requirements in here for signage and your conditions of approval. But with that, Planning Commission and staff are recommending approval with the 22 conditions attached to the motion. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the public hearing. So is there anyone present tonight that would like to address council on this application? Anyone at all?
Bless you.
In that case, we will close the public input. Council input. Nothing for you? Come.
On the site plan, is the, so is this is there a way for this site to get access between the two? Or
We've
not?
talked about that. With this access drive here, you can see it kind of does, there is a potential cross-access
And there was
point.
another drawing with the site plan, with the landscape. It shows like it might be,
Right.
see, it looks like it could be there.
It could, and this one's same way. The reason it's not shown right now
Because you don't
is
know what it's gonna be.
They don't know what it's going to be. So, it's a matter of that if they're making the investment, they want to know what's going to happen on the adjoining property before they would commit to doing something like that. There are cross-access easements in place in the REA agreement that governs the association of everybody who's located within this property.
So there are
There are
access
cross-access easements. Now, they would have to provide the cross-access, and we would obviously look at that in the future moving forward and come back and talk to the Neyers and see if they would be interested in connecting that or would be willing to connect it if it was a compatible use.
Okay. And the other thing, that road has been really an eyesore. And so share with me again why it has been an eyesore and why we won't ever have to have it be like that again. Because I thought we should have code enforcement for the quality of road because that one was so filled with potholes and we had so many residents that were unhappy with
Yep.
that road. So how are we going to make sure it never gets to that point again?
I think with the changes that we've seen, again, we always get on top of it as soon as we know it's going to be an issue with the owner of the property. Obviously, a lot of the times, philosophically, the final coat of asphalt isn't put on until the construction's done because you get in there, you don't want to destroy that final coat of the asphalt and the road being completed with construction equipment and the like. Now, this one obviously took a lot longer to develop than they originally anticipated. But I think if you've seen, we had similar problems just immediately to the properties to the north, and the access drive has been repaved, maintained, and it's in a permanent form where we don't have those issues like we had before, and we're anticipating that will be the case here. Obviously, with the significance of this building, they don't want to have any of their customers coming through and going through this pothole. So part of the negotiations of the agreement, I think we'll take care of all of that, and with the new property managers who are in place, I think that'll make a difference.
What's the primary use of this premier building? Is it
Medical.
Doctor's offices?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Vice Mayor?
No questions.
Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor Snow. Just a real quick clarification. The applicant stated he thought there was only 13 conditions, and we're looking at 22. Or was that just a misstatement by the applicant, or have we snuck things in on him?
No, we have not. I think, Dave, they're good with all 22 conditions, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to clarify
they
nothing
grew.
changed since you last saw it.
We didn't add any last-second conditions to this.
Thank you.
Sir?
The balance of the road down to Kemp, whose responsibility is that to maintain it, since we don't have a developer for that other section?
Right now, as of about a month ago, it'll be over property management. under the, as hired by the Lufino Grandchildren's Trust. So they would still own the property, they still own the whole road, but over property maintenance will now be
Do
maintained.
they have a schedule for maintenance, Director?
We'll talk to them about it, but they obviously know this is one of the first things that they need to do, and they have the support of the owners of the property to get it done, so.
I see. So, thank you.
Okay. Well, they did take care of a portion of the road anyway.
Correct.
And so I'll give, it's maybe long overdue, but I'll say thank you to the current management for taking care of that.
Yeah, Mr. Lufino was ready to do everything out there from the road standpoint, but at that time, you may recall, there was an application that was submitted for a grocery store in this location. The Lidl was going to be located here. So he stopped right at the city, the Graders and City Barbecue site, because he anticipated that would be construction access and that they would be purchasing the road and they would finish it off. So the only real focus is the frontage along here, which obviously there's an interest to make sure that that's maintained. And the other one is just the stub street that comes off the main access drive to Kemp. And they're looking at if that's absolutely where that should be aligned at this point or not. So once they figure out the alignment of that access drive to Kemp, then we'll really have that tied down and get it fixed.
Okay. And is this, I mean, from a technicality standpoint, this is a drive aisle more than a road, correct?
It is. It's a private drive aisle.
We all call it a road, but it's not a city road. And we still need to have pressure.
Yeah.
But it is not a city responsibility for that road.
Correct.
And again, I just did it. It's not a road, it's a drive aisle. Thank you. Anyone else? Do I hear a motion?
I would move for the purpose of taking administrative action, approval of PUD major modification for the Neyer office building, PUD 97-1, MOD 818, on the basis that the City Council finds the facts submitted with the application and accompanying materials and modifications, amendments, and supplementary conditions satisfy the standards and criteria for a PUD major modification as per 158.070 of the zoning code. Supplementary conditions required for this approval shall be as follows, and I further move that this motion with all its conditions, all 22, be recorded in the minutes of this council meeting.
Do I have a second? I do have a second. I have a motion and a second to approve PUD 97-1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Congratulations, and this is certainly much better for the community and the surrounding area than another big box store, so thank you. Next, PUD 08-1.
This is an application filed by Hinton A. Patel, 1032 Deer Creek Drive, Fairborn, Ohio, 45324. The application requests approval of a specific site plan to allow for the development of a 9,400 square foot religious education center on 3.002 acres of land. The property is located on the west side of Glenbrook Drive and north of Crestmont Court. The property is further described as Book 4, Page 4, Parcel 29 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. Is there an applicant present this evening that would like to please come forward? Give us your name and address. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I think initially the meeting was set for 26th. I'm not sure. I forget. But so here we are. As you know, we're trying to build the Youth Community Center. It's a long waiting project. And I have the engineer who can perhaps better explain it, the technicalities from the engineering.
Can I stop you just for a second? Can you give the clerk your name and address, please?
I'm sorry. Hinton A. Patel, 1032 Deer Creek Drive, Fairborn, Ohio, 45324.
Thank you. Okay, continue.
Thank you. Steve, would you like to explain or in detail what we here for? Have the engineer, Stephen Butler.
Sure.
explain.
My name's Stephen Butler. I'm with Community Civil Engineers, obviously assisting with the application for this for the youth group Indian Culture Center. It's just a 9,400 square foot building, 15 spaces.
What was that? Tell me that number.
9,400.
Thank you.
Approximately 15 parking spaces, a loop drop-off. We've been working with staff to address all the concerns that the staff have, and the fire department, and we've managed to work everything out and get everything, I think, to a point where everyone is happy. And I know that Mr. Burkett does a very detailed presentation, so I'm going to let him do the presentation and obviously answer any questions afterwards.
All right, thank you very much. It's on your shoulders now.
Evening, Mayor, members of City Council. The case you have before you is PUD 08-1. It's the second specific site plan for this PUD. It's the Youth Group for Indian Culture's specific site plan. They're looking to construct a religious education center on a little over 3 acres. Project's located in northern Beavercreek, just to the east of a few shopping centers that front along North Fairfield Road. This here is the Target, just to give you an idea. It's an aerial of the Target and the Hobby Lobby. And then there's several retail buildings in this strip center retail. A little bit closer view on the 3 acres. To the north is the Hindu temple. You can kind of see it from North Fairfield Road behind the shopping center. And then in 2008, there was the construction of Puja Hall, which is an extension of that temple. The Hindu community approached us last year about rezoning this property to be included into the PUD 08-1. And as if council can recall, earlier this year, that property was rezoned specifically for the construction of an education center. So all the setbacks, the uses, and everything that was set forth in the 08 amendment, or 08-1 amendment from earlier this year has been met with this specific site plan. Again, to the north is R1A, but it's a, I guess I don't have it on the aerial, but it's a large lot, single-family residential lot that's north of the existing Hindu temple. To the east is RPUD, which is high-density residential, as well as to the southeast, and to the south is all the high-density residential. And as stated earlier, to the west is a large box shopping center. Seen here is the proposed site plan. As you can tell, that they proposed the building and all the development to the eastern edge of the site. There's a single access point off of Lillian Lane. We did have a condition that included a future access and construction easement should they connect or want to connect or need to connect to the property to the north. While this is the Youth Group for Indian Culture, it is a separate owner, so we couldn't require an access point through from this site to the northern site at this time. It's just no different than two individual owners. So there was we couldn't say you had to connect, because without the approval of a separate owner, that's just a condition that they can't meet. So again, they're proposing a single access point in circular traffic pattern for drop-off, being an educational center. In terms of parking, they show 15 parking spaces, including one handicap parking. And while there's no specific number required for religious education centers, we just based it off of what an elementary educational building would require, which is 2 spaces for each classroom. Based on that number, they were only required to have 12, so they do meet the minimum required parking spots for this to be a standalone project, regardless if they connect to the property to the north or not. There's existing sidewalk along Lillian Lane, and they're proposing to connect to that sidewalk with a sidewalk that stubs out in front of the building along the entire parking field. In terms of architecture, they're proposing a single-story building. It's approximately 188 feet long, about 52 feet deep, and to the midpoint of the pitched roof is about 19 and a half feet, or a little bit over 19 and a half feet. As you can tell, the majority of the building will be constructed out of red brick, and they do show tan ephes above the entryways and above the gabled roofs, as well as a split face block, tan split face block accent features as well. In terms of signage, they do show landscaping out along Lillian Lane, and we had them add some additional landscaping along the base of the building to help soften the appearance from the building. So it's a transition from building to landscaping back to pavement area. So there's a transitional area. They show one wall sign on the actual building itself, or I'm sorry, there's 2 wall signs. Let's see if it's easier. You can see them on the front of the building, one on the south end and one on the north end. And then we did add a condition. They didn't show any ground signs, but we added a condition if in the future, if they want one, it'd be no more than 5 feet in height and 25 square feet per sign face, which is equivalent to what you'd see in a small commercial development anywhere else in a B2 development or B3. There are 22 conditions in the motion for your consideration this evening. Staff and Planning Commission both recommend approval of the applicant's requests, and I'm here to answer any questions following the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone present this evening that would like to address council on this application? For or against? Seeing none, we will move on to council input. How about we start with Councilmember Curran first?
No comment, Your Mayor.
Councilman?
Just a quick question for clarification. What is the property zoned at today?
It's part of the PUD 08-1.
No, I mean residential, office building?
Commercial.
Commercial, okay, thank you.
Councilmember Van.
So the property owner, could you tell me how many classrooms are going to be in there, and how, is this going to be used every day of the week, or is this going to be used on a weekend, or what's the use going to be?
Basically, it is not every day. It's pretty much on Sundays after the prayers start. That's when we plan to have about an hour, hour and a half at the time. I mean, hour and a half to 2 hours the most. About 6 classrooms at this point, 6 to, you know.
And so, are the parents going to drop, I mean, I'm thinking about these parking spaces, and I'm trying to figure out for a building this size if 15 spaces is enough. And so I wanted you to tell me a little bit about the building so I'd be more comfortable
Absolutely,
with
not a
15
problem.
spaces. That's kind of where, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the parents, the intention is for them to drop them off and, you know, carry on with their chores, what have you. Go probably visit the temple next door or do some shopping, what have you. So yeah, pretty much there's minimal traffic, and that has been the case. I mean, you know, pretty much they just drop them off and pick them up on time, 11:30 or so approximately.
And in the rear, there's no landscaping plan back there. Are you going to put any landscaping back there?
I'm not too sure, but I can perhaps check with my engineer, Stephen Butler. He can explain it to you. I'm not sure what the plan is, but I'm assuming at this point, you know, there'll be some amount of landscaping, but he can clarify it for you.
Actually, there's no intent for any landscaping behind the building.
And why is that?
It's just,
Is it just mowed grass?
it's going to be grass, yeah, it's going to,
Mowed grass?
yeah,
Okay,
great.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rushing.
Thanks, sir. For staff, the elevation, will this new addition be visible from North Fairfield?
You know, it's a single-story building. I mean, we're talking 500 or 600 feet away, and there's a mound in that building.
Sure.
The shopping center to the west will be blocking that from view.
That's all I have. Thanks to the applicant for expanding in Beavercreek. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
That was my only comment, was thank the applicant for expanding in Beavercreek. We've been here before, and we're excited to have you staying in the area.
Oh, thank you.
All right. And you must have gone to the Planning Commission the same as the previous case. You both have 22 conditions. That's right. Okay. Any further comment? Do I have a motion?
I would move for the purpose of taking administrative action, approval of a specific site plan for the youth group of the Indian culture on the basis that the city council finds the facts submitted with the application and accompanying materials and modifications, amendments, and supplementary conditions satisfy the standards and criteria for the specific site plan as per 158.066 of the zoning code. Supplementary conditions required of this approval shall be as follows, and there are 22. I further move that this motion, with all its conditions, be fully recorded in the minutes of the city council meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve PUD 808-1, specific site plan number 2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you.
I'd just like to say one word. If you
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to thank the city and the council and, of course, the staff who worked due diligently and very professionally all along the, course. So just like to say thank you.
Well, we appreciate everything you do over there. You're a big part of this community, so thank you very much.
Thank
We
you,
wish
appreciate
you
it.
good weather during the construction.
Oh, we certainly hope so. I'm not according to the farmer's almanac. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, public hearing, PUD 18-3.
This is an application filed by Franklin Land Associates, LLC, 9010 Overlook Boulevard, Brentwood, Tennessee, 37027. The application requests approval to rezone approximately 3.5 acres from R1A one-family residential district and B2 commercial business district to CPUD commercial plan unit development. The property is located at 3867 Dayton-Xenia Road, further described as Book 2, page 11, parcels 140, 141, 144, 145, and 146 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. If the applicant's present, please come forward and give us a name and address, and the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name
Good
is
evening.
Bob Gage. I'm with GBT Realty. We are the developers for the proposed project. Address is 9010 Overlook Boulevard, Brentwood, Tennessee. Basically here, just asking for an amend zone to planned unit development for this piece of property. It is a total of 3.5 acres. There are, on the northern side of it, there is 2.18 acres that is in the B2 district currently. The southern portion of this property is 1.23 acres, which is currently in the residential one-family zoning district, R1A. There are 5 lots that make up this particular piece of property. They are currently all under one tax number, but we are trying to join all 5 of them together and get them zoned the same. That is the reason for the request. We are proposing to build a 9,100 square foot Dollar General project with 36 parking spaces, associated drives, utilities, and stormwater detention facility. All of the construction for this property will be built on the currently zoned B2 portion of this property. Back on the back side, the southern portion of this property that is currently zoned R1A is where our detention facility will be located. So we'll have a decent buffer between us and the adjacent property owners. Be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Whoops.
The case you have before you is PUD 18-3. It's the Dollar General rezoning. Again, the applicant's looking to rezone about 3.5 acres from a combination of R1A and B2 to a CPUD to construct a general retail store. Project's located in central Beavercreek, about a quarter-mile east of the intersection of Grange Hall and Dayton-Xenia Road. To the north is the Beavercreek Senior Center, and then just to the east of that is the intersection of Longview and Dayton-Xenia Road. There's a auto repair store just to the northeast, and then residential to the south and also to the west of this proposed PUD district. As the applicant stated, currently the northern majority of the property is zoned B2, Community Business District, and then the southwest portion of the proposed PUD is zoned R1A, Single Family Residential. To the north is B2, to the east is B2, and to the south and the southwest is R1A. On our city's land use map, a majority of the property is classified as neighborhood commercial and office, which is a lower intense commercial land use category. There is a small portion of the proposed PUD that's within the low-density single-family residential neighborhood designation, but it is a transitional area, and there is language in the land use plan that allows for rezoning of the transitional area as commercial. But if you look on the proposed concept plan and setbacks, that area that's in the R1A or I'm sorry, the single-family low-density residential is all going to be utilized as a buffer area so that there won't be any commercial construction within that 50-foot setback from the south into the west property lines. They did include a concept plan with the proposed rezoning. It does show the building to be located here. And the applicant stated, that they are going to do, landscaping and architecture and stormwater detention. But I just wanted to remind council that this is the rezoning phase. And before any discussion or before any kind of approval of a site plan, we would need to get this rezoned. And should this be rezoned, there would be a second phase where council would be looking specifically at architecture and stormwater detention and parking and stuff and development concerns like that. So this isn't a combined application where you're doing both tonight. We're just going over the rezoning and the proposed uses. Again, there is a 50-foot buffer proposed along the south and the west property lines. And then there is a 40-foot building setback along Dayton-Xenia Road from the future right-of-way. And we line that future right-of-way generally up with where the right-of-way line in front of the Millwood Garden Center and where we've extended that right-of-way because of future roadway projects. As council may know about, there's going to be the widening and curb and gutter and sidewalks in this middle portion of Dayton-Xenia, as we've done to the east as well as to the west.
Do you have a timeline on that?
From what I understand, it's 2020. Yeah. In the proposed ordinance you have before you, we proposed uses, B2 uses. That's what they're allowed now.
I don't shop.
And so we propose to continue those B2 uses allowed, and among those are bakeries, banking services, carryouts, and convenience stores, which is what they're proposing with the site plan. And we did include the setbacks and buffers in the proposed ordinance. We did allow for an access point along on Longview Drive, should they desire to do that. I've seen site plans since generating this proposed ordinance. They're not looking to construct or have an addition, or I'm sorry, an access point on Lakeview or Longview at this time. But we did add the language, should they want to do that, they would be an egress only. So if nobody could come in to the site from here, just out so they can access the traffic light that's at Longview and Dayton-Xenia Road. There are 5 conditions in the proposed ordinance. Planning Commission and staff both recommend approval of the applicant's request, and I'll be happy to answer questions following the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any public input tonight? Is there anyone here that would like to address council on this application? Seeing none, we will move on. Council input. Vice Mayor, would you like to start on this one?
I don't have any questions at this time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rushing.
With the, what is the potential density besides the concept of the building on the east? Can they go in the west?
Well, their density is going to be based on the number of parking spaces they can have. But, they're looking at a 9,400 square foot building. 9,100 square foot building. And with the stormwater detention and the buffer requirements, they're going to be hard pressed to get anything much more than that. But we didn't add any specific density limitations in terms of maximum square footage or anything like that. It's really based on, there's already a 25% maximum coverage, minimum open space requirement in the zoning code that they'd have to adhere to, so they couldn't develop more than 75% of the site. But when you're looking at stormwater detention and these 50-foot buffer, it's, 9,400 square feet is going to be about as much as they can really do realistically.
Thank you.
Councilmember Pan.
If I go to the senior center, I'm likely to choose to go to the stoplight to get back on Dayton-Xenia. So when you develop, I would really think about that asset of having a stoplight there. Just food for thought. But other than that, I'm glad you're rezoning and combining them. I think it's going to be a good track and makes it more usable for development. And that's what we're here for today, is for rezoning. So I'm good with that.
Councilmember Upton.
No comments. I'll wait till the specific site plan.
Councilmember Curran?
Same.
Well, if you could put the concept plan back on the screen, please. Randy, there it is. You know, based on the concept, it sort of looks like the potential for another building
Right.
to the west. They've got the, you know, it's offset, so it's just something we need to keep in mind, that even though it's being zoned, you know, I'm not opposed to efficient use of land, but by the same token, we gotta be careful how dense that gets as far as use,
Right.
traffic. I agree with Councilmember Van that stoplight is very convenient for in and out access, and I don't know that it's, you know, that we want to put a lot of traffic right next to a residential house, with people coming and going, so, but we do need to look at it close at site plan. And lastly, I just would like to say that, you know, this is our old town. This is for the applicant, the old part of town, so to speak. And so we'll be looking for something that is not a pole barn type building. I mean,
Yes, sir.
something that's going to be attractive to the community.
Yes, sir. Staff has already alerted us to that.
Okay. We
Yay,
appreciate
staff.
that. And you can be lucky you don't have 22 conditions on your application.
By the way, Mr. Mayor, this is purpose-built for Dollar General. We have no intention of putting anything else on the property, and we wouldn't have any issues at all with a condition saying such.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else, council? Do I have a motion to move this on to the second and third?
I move to approve ordinance 18-03 and move to the second and third readings.
18-23.
23, I'm sorry.
So do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 18-23, moving it on to the second and third reading. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, ordinance 18-18.
This is a third reading of an ordinance to declare certain city-owned property interests as surplus and to approve the conveyance of an access easement on city-owned property generally known as the Creekside Trail right-of-way.
Thank you. This is the third reading of this ordinance that was sponsored by Councilmember Curran. Any discussion? Councilman?
Your Honor, I move ordinance 1818, convey easement to Jeff Schmidt.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 18-18. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, ordinance 18-19.
This is a second reading of an ordinance repealing current Chapter 97 Trees, Weeds, and Shrubs of the City of Beavercreek Code of Ordinances and adopting new Chapter 97 Trees, Weeds, and Shrubs of the City of Beavercreek Code of Ordinances.
Thank you. This is the second reading, so this is the public hearing. Is there anyone present this evening that would like to address council on this ordinance? Seeing none, this will naturally move to the third reading. Next, ordinance 18-20.
This is a second reading of an ordinance adopting new Section 96.38 Small Cell Facilities and Wireless Support Structures of the City of Beavercreek Code of Ordinances.
Thank you. Again, this is the second reading, so it is a public hearing. Is there anyone present this evening that would like to address council on this ordinance? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and this will move on to the third reading. Next, ordinance 18-21.
This is a second reading of an ordinance repealing current Section 132.13 Panhandling of the City of Beavercreek Code of Ordinances.
Thank you. Again, this is a second reading, so it is a public hearing. Is there anyone present this evening that would like to address council on this application, this ordinance? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and move this on to the third reading. Next is ordinance 18-22.
This is a second reading of an ordinance to prohibit a right turn against a steady red signal for southbound traffic on Haynes Road at the intersection of Dayton-Xenia Road during school hours.
Thank you. Once more time, this is a second reading. Is there anyone present this evening that would like to address council on this ordinance? Seeing none, we will let this move to the third reading. Next, ordinance 18-24.
This is the first reading of an ordinance repealing current personnel rules and regulations for the city of Beavercreek and adopting new personnel rules and regulations for the city of Beavercreek.
Thank you very much, and welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, this ordinance will provide for council to approve changes to the employee manual based on new policies, procedure, clarifications, and updates, including those associated with the new city-wide employee timekeeping system implementation. So it is staff's recommendation that you do approve ordinance 18-24.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we, let's see if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council on this application first. And seeing none, we will ask for input from council. Did anybody have any questions or at this point? And just one in general that I had, it was the changing in the time system from a tenth of an hour, from a quarter of an hour to a tenth of an hour or something like that.
Right.
Can you explain that to me just a hair?
The new timekeeping system is based on 1/10 of an hour or 6 minutes, and so it will be rounded up or down depending upon when the employee clocks in and clocks out.
Okay.
And that was, Mayor, that was a preference of mine to be more accurate. I've been at both places where it's been quarter and a tenth every 6 minutes. So, people are, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, every 6 minutes is easy. I will say the entire police department has already been under tenths. So we've been separate. So now we're going to get together and all be in tenths. And so the policies that we're changing, police had already went forward with that many years ago. And so now we're catching up, figuring it was easier to bring the change to the rest. And again, it is more accurate, more precise to the minute. Instead of every 15 minutes, you're every 6 minutes. So that's just a strategy of the way we went.
Okay. Any other comments? Do I have a motion to approve and move it to the second and third?
Mr. Mayor, I motion to move to the ordinance 18-21 to the second and third readings.
Second.
Sorry, 18-24.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 18-24, moving it on to the second and third reading. All in
Thank
favor
you.
say aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jill. Next, liquor permits.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council. This Ohio Division of Liquor Control sent police notification reference a new C1 and C2 liquor permit for Bliss Green LLC, doing business as Bliss in a Bottle. This is located inside the Fairfield Commons Mall at 2727 Fairfield Commons Boulevard, space T21, Beavercreek, Ohio, 45431. The records checks required by the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Control were conducted on the business officers and shareholders for this application and request, and staff recommendation is this application request move forward with no comment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept without comment.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on. We're making good time tonight. Mayor's report. I don't have a whole lot to talk about this evening. It's been a very active summer, and the weather's showing that it's still summer. But
It's October.
I know. All right. I'm going to go straight to council time then. Would you like to go first, Vice Mayor?
I have no report tonight.
All right. Councilmember Van?
I would advise the public that Beavercreek Women League hosted a Candidates and Issues Forum, and we have an election coming up in less than 30 days. And Mike Frazier has prepared a YouTube video of that, and any citizen who wants to know more about the candidates or be introduced to them should look at that YouTube, because it would be it's going to be available tomorrow, but still, it's a nice resource that the city is providing, and we appreciate having voters be informed when they go to the voting ballot box. I wanted to tell staff back there in the back, hey, Mike, I would like to tell staff that across from the high school in the white stripe, there's a hole that easily could catch a heel of a shoe, but it also could catch a whole foot. And so I think it's a trip hazard potentially if anybody's horsing around not paying attention. So if you could have the staff check that that hole in the middle of the street, or on the edge of the street. And this week is homecoming for Beavercreek High School, and so there will be a parade on Thursday, and yay Beavercreek.
Councilman Rush.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Going along with Councilmember Van, it is homecoming coming up this weekend for Beavercreek High School. As the president of the Alumni Association, so invite the entire public as well as council to attend our Hall of Fame induction ceremony this Saturday at 10 a.m. in the auditorium. I do want to congratulate our 5 inductees this year. They are Mr. Terry Vincent, class of 1966, Mr. Dallas Baldwin, class of 1971, Miss Roberta Ann Carpenter, class of 1959, Mr. Eric Fulcomer, class of 1989, and Miss Lori Jones, class of 1983. So if you'd like to come out and support our great inductees to the Hall of Fame, again, that's 10 o'clock this Saturday in the auditorium, as well as all the festivities for homecoming, the parade, homecoming game, as well for the students, the actual homecoming. So that is it for tonight. Thank you.
And just for clarity, did you mention the parade is Thursday?
Correct.
Thursday at 6? Okay. Councilmember Kerr.
The mayor's the man. You ought to have seen him pick up this, what we call jaws of life. It must have been 70 or 80 pounds. He goes right in.
It's getting heavier.
Cuts
every day.
cuts that car wide open. We were privileged to be a part of the Joint Firefighter Service joint effort out at Wright-Patterson, and that was incredible, just to watch all the firefighters see the different types of approaches that they have to deal with. Mayor did a great job, though. That's something to see. Jeez, 70 pounds.
He's wanting me to buy pizza later. I know what it is. Councilman Upton, can you do any better than that?
Cutting issue.
Mr. Mayor, you look wonderful tonight. And Margaret, marvelous as well.
Oh,
Just
okay.
throw that in there. Now, I have the high honor tonight of discussing or presenting our anniversaries for the month of October. We have a number of employees that are celebrating their service anniversary with us, and excited to go through those. We have Roger Hildebrandt in our police department celebrating 31 years. Jim Spicer, police department at 29. Chris Williams, our police department at 27 years. Libby Chapman, police at 20. Chris Bukite in finance for 20 years. Chrissy Fedko at our senior center for 13 years, who might be more popular than Lee now, if you ask me. Randy Burkett in our planning and development at 12 years. Paige Bagford, public service for 10 years. Timmy Kearns, engineering for 7. Sam Delaney, public service for 6. Nathan Sparks, public service for 6. And Judy Lemke at our senior center celebrating 5 years. So congratulations to everybody, and thank you for your continued service to our community.
Fantastic. Very good. All right. City manager's time. Sir.
All right, I won't hold everybody up too long. Shakertown, so we can get to the free pizza. Shakertown Road Project began in late September on Shakertown, and as you're aware, today the road did close approximately about 800 feet east of Grange Hall Road, and it's planned, weather permitting, which it was a nice day other than being 85, 87 degrees in October, but it is closed, so it'll be planned to be 14 days on the closure. Hopefully weather cooperates and they'll be able to get that done. The actual widening of the road there and the closing is due to a replacement of a culvert and you just can't have the road opening. You can, but it'll cost you significantly more dollars to do so. But we're hoping with the road widening and adding of sidewalks and curbs and everything else, the completion date's going to be in the summer of 2019. Now, this is a grant project, so we received grant funding and approval to move forward, late, and that's why it always starts so late in the year. But we appreciate getting awarded the grant money for that project. Indian Ripple Road resurfacing as well. That's supposed to start tonight. The county line to Sylvania is going to be repaved. We've already been working on the curbs and replacing the concrete in the median, and repairing those have already happened. So now this is the repaving part of that, and we try to do that at night, so it's going to be start tonight during nighttime hours until that's complete. That's a major piece of road, so that's why we do it as during the night, hoping not to cause too much trouble. Just want to remind everybody, October 13th, this Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is Try a Truck. This is very popular for many of the kids and the adult kids as well. Like to play on these trucks. But come out to the maintenance facility, which is the municipal maintenance facility, 789 Orchard Lane in Beavercreek. And I think the fire department, the trucks are there, police cars, many of the backhoes and that kind of equipment is also there, and we appreciate the sponsors for it. Next, I want to just mention October 31st is what we always do, is the Halloween actual on Halloween, so people's already been asking. So 6 to 8 p.m. on October 31st is a celebration of Halloween. I did want to mention real quick, I did appreciate the all the fire department from Beavercreek. My handler was Courtney. What was your handler's name? You remember by chance?
Slave driver, I think.
That's slave driver. Mine was too. Here's confession time. I went to watch and I got roped into doing so, but I'm glad I did. We went into the hot fire and I used the cutters. Mayor used the jaws of life. We went into heat that was 700, 800 degrees, and that was not as hot as they said they could have got it. Normally they do to 1,000, and they took it easy on us. But I tell you, you feel it. Then the air you breathe starts getting warm in your tank and everything else. I had to pull out a 100-pound dummy in the dark in the blind with the smoke, and you already got all the gear on that weighs 50, 75 pounds, and that was difficult. So it really gave myself an appreciation of what they do. We got to ride in the ambulance. I think I killed the dummy, but other than that, it was a dummy.
Gave him an IV, so
you gave him an IV, and I had to continue to give him CPR. But it was an experience. I appreciate all the unions that were part of the Xenia, Fairborn. It was all of Greene County, Beavercreek,
and
Wright Pat. All there, and it was on Wright Pat base, so I appreciate the Wright Pat letting us use the facilities and the training facilities that they have. So, and then the fire, the plane crash, mock plane crash, was also pretty neat to experience. So I appreciate that. That was a very good experience. That's all I have.
Well, thank you. All right. This is the time for citizen comment. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to address council on any issue at all? Don't raise your hands all at once back there. Seeing none, we will move on. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.